Hello, I'm Nancy Flinchbaugh, and today I'm interviewing Rebecca Benston. I've had two books now published with Higher Ground Books and Media, a Christian publishing company in Springfield, Ohio. And today we're going to talk with the founder and CEO of Higher Ground Books and Media. So stay tuned to learn all about Rebecca and her publishing company. And I'm real curious too to learn how she got started. So, Rebecca, tell me, how did you decide to found Higher Ground Books and Media?
It was kind of an accident. Several years ago, I was published through Stone Garden. It was a publishing company out of, I think, California. And he closed his doors and basically gave all of our rights to our books back to us. And then I was left with 7 books that I didn't know what to do. I had no idea where I was going with this stuff. So he suggested that I might re-release these titles, and that was all I had set out to do initially. So I started getting my books back out there, and I had a couple of friends get in touch with me and say, can you help me with my books, because I would like to get these out there. And so I started out really small, and for the first few years I only had maybe 3 people who were working with me. And it just grew. It just, after a while, it started to just out of nowhere I would get requests for people, to help them publish their books. And now today we are almost at 45 authors, and we have probably over 95 titles in circulation.
That's great. What type of books do you publish? What are you looking for?
We publish just about everything other than horror or erotica or any of those types of subjects. I try to keep the material that we put out positive, or at least something that shows transformation, something that would be educational and inspirational for people. Um, we do a lot of biography things where someone has gone through something and they're sharing how they got through it. And usually we're looking for God's involvement in that, even if it's not conveyed very plainly. I'm always looking for that in the stories that we publish.
Okay. What I know when I've been out talking about my books, people always want to know how they can get published. So I wondered what kind of advice could you give to authors who would like to submit a book to Higher Ground Books and Media?
Um, I think the biggest thing is to just be sure that you are done with the writing part before you submit something. It's hard for me to make a decision on whether or not I can work with someone if I just get part of a story, because you never know where that story is going. I know with me, when I write something, I never know how it's going to end up until I get to the end of the story. So it's just best to have it all written out and maybe have a little bit of a plan on what you want to talk about as far as promoting it. What is your goal in writing this? Is it just for entertainment? Do you have a platform that you want to speak on? Is it something that you want to promote in terms of like social issues or beliefs or things like that? So just have a general idea of what you want to do and what your mission is with that book before you submit it.
That's very good advice. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started as a writer?
Um, I, I guess I'm trying to think way back to when I started writing. I started writing very, very early, poetry, things that got in school yearbooks and things like that when I was in elementary school. So I've been doing this forever. And I wrote my first book back in 2005, 2006. And that happened after I'd had my daughter. And I took some time off work and was trying to figure out, do I want to work or do I want to start a family, or just trying to get my bearings as a married person. I'm no longer married, but I have written a whole bunch of books. So I uh, I was very bored staying at home and trying to decide, you know, am I going to have more kids, and what's going to happen with everything, because having a toddler.
Your voice is we just lost your voice. I can't hear you. I don't know what happened.
All right. I forgot what I was talking about. Um, well, I was home with my daughter and trying to decide on, am I going to have more kids or whatever. I wrote that first book and I sent it out, and it was published by a publisher that a lot of people wouldn't use. And I I don't necessarily agree with the way they do business, but it was a way to get me motivated to write more books. So I'm glad that I had that interaction, even if it wasn't ideal. And from there, I just started writing this mystery series, and I have 10 books in that series now, and it's still something that I'm writing from time to time, trying to get that 11th book out. So
That was going to be my next question. What kind of books do you write? Can you tell us a little bit about your mystery series, and why did you
yeah,
choose to write about mysteries? Everybody I know
uh,
has favorite genres.
well, I started writing mysteries because I liked reading Sue Grafton and Lisa Scatolini and Janet Ivanovich, and I would get finished with all of their books, and I would be waiting for something to come out that I could listen to or read, and I'd get bored. So I've got to do something. So I started making up my own stories, and that's how my private detective series came about. I just decided I would use all of my experience that I had had in my past life as a human resource manager, where you have to be so proper. And I put all of this energy into this character so that she could be like the the anti, you know, type person that I used to be in my professional life. So um, she's a little bit sarcastic and a little crazy, and everything that I wasn't allowed to be in my former life. So,
I think
and I also write inspirational and other types of books now, but the main thing that I have written are the mystery books.
okay. Um, so you said you've written 7 mystery books, and you're
I've
working on your eight or eight.
actually I've written 10, and I'm working on number 11.
Oh wow! And those are just the mystery books. Is that right?
Yep. hmm
And then how many other books have you written? What?
I have 4 children's books out, and I also have probably about eight other books that are like devotionals or Bible studies, empowerment type books.
Wow, you're quite prolific. What's your favorite book that you've written?
Um, Gosh, it's a toss up between the probably the fourth book in that mystery series, because I think that's where I really got a hold of the character and really brought out everything that I needed to bring out of her, and that was the transitional book, or one of the children's books that I wrote about a problem that my daughter had with anxiety. So that one's called "See How Strong You Are," and it's all about she struggled with anxiety about going to school, and we put it into a children's book, and it's really cute.
And what's the title of the mystery in case somebody wants to read that?
That one's "This Side Up," and it's the
This,
Rona Shively stories. That's the series.
so they could get that on your website, Higher Ground
Uh-huh.
Books and Media.
Yep.
Well, what keeps you writing?
Um, I always have ideas. Like I've got a million ideas and not enough time or not enough energy to do any of the writing these days. So I think my goal is to get back to where I can write a little bit every day. I haven't been doing that nearly as much in the last couple of years as I would like to, but I'm busy helping other people get their writing out.
Well, that's really quite a service you provide. Do you have any advice for other writers?
Um, I think that everybody has a story in them, and I think that they most of the time they don't know it. A lot of the things that we go through, we think it's just stuff we're going through, but sometimes when we write all that out and process it, it can be exactly what someone else out there needs to get them through something they're going through. And for those who are brave enough to write that out and share that, they're the ones, they're doing a big service by just reaching out and sharing their experiences with people, because there's a lot of healing that comes from that.
Well, thank you, Rebecca. I know I met you at the library and I thought maybe Rebecca would publish my book.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
really am grateful to you for publishing 2 of my books now. And if other authors would like to contact you, what's your contact information and how can you be contacted?
The best way to reach me is through the Higher Ground Books and Media at Gmail email address.
Okay, so you can check out our website, highergroundbooksandmedia.com, and find the email address on there as well. Well, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining me today, and
Thank
we'll
you.
keep looking for good things coming out of your publishing company as it continues to grow with more and more authors.
Right.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you, Rebecca.